So, we have a return to important plot stuff. Also, I don't know why BizHawk was screwing up. That's a weird way to say that Diana is pregnant. You see, Rich is kind of a playboy, as we saw. And Diana's understandably upset. And I believe we can actually go talk to her. I was thinking that she was at the dock. Oh, she is. I just didn't go far enough. And she understandably is not going to listen to Rich. And we have had all but 5 party members. Last Generation adds 5 party members to the list, so we are going to end up having seen everyone. Frankly, this conversation serves to make Rich sound just as suspicious as, well, you know, anybody really should be of Rich. So here it seems like most of the conversation with this girl is mostly from the perspective of the egg. Or rather, it seems pretty clear that the egg has taken full control. And now that Rich has reconfirmed exactly what he's dealing with, wants Diana to get the hell out of town. And it's weird that the night scenario is kind of inconsistent about these additional actions. Like, we saw Diana just turn her head there. Rich had, you know, sprite work for turning her around. And that scenario, that kind of call to action, is something I didn't want to show last time. I wanted to have it directly attached to its follow-up scenario, which is Misty's plot. Not because Misty's plot is necessarily the biggest, you know, plot dumper or adventure scenario on its own, but because what follows is huge. And so this is pushing, I guess I hit X in additional time. This is here to push Rich to action. The egg has been taking victims, it's just not been killing them. I keep thinking that door is enterable. actually have a pretty decent amount of chips. That'll be real good. Well, third generation. And this is one of the reasons why he can't just come out, in addition to the fact that, you know, he's a huge playboy and everybody's suspicious of him. This is one of the reasons he can't just come out and tell people to avoid Misty. She is incredibly attractive. Somebody who you only really know as a mediocre digger and a playboy. Well, nobody's gonna listen to him. Not for that purpose. One thing I can show real quick is we are actually in control of a pretty good Rich. I've never dealt with a Rich that didn't suck, if I'm being flat out. Especially when I've gone with swords. This Rich has been a perfectly decent user of the Cinderforge sword. And so even if I ultimately end up not using swords on him, or swords on the best user in the final generation, I think I've pretty much gotten a pretty good use out of just having Rich use the Cinderforge sword. I'm trying to remember right now if I'm going to have access to a reclaimer at the start of the third generation, and I just can't remember. I assume I am. I don't really know what this one's supposed to be. But obviously Rich sees that the egg is doing something, and in contrast to 14 years, was it 14 years? I think it was like 14 years prior to this that he originally saw the egg. I don't know why my brain went to 14 years. So obviously we're not going to have much issue here. I'm hoping to get another granite staff, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It was 14 or 15, because he was 20 or 21 when that first scenario happened. Because I think he was... No, I just don't remember. So it's actually not a bad idea, because we're solo, to mix things up on occasion here. Nothing can really do that much damage. Too rich. And we actually do have pretty good SP regen. The only, I think it's the only WPR regen age spot. So while there are a few characters that just don't get very good SP regen, I believe the worst WP regen we come across is just a flat 1. And that character's... I don't remember if they're older than the WP regen lost spot, or if it just doesn't matter because they only show up in scenarios where they're younger than it. I can also show off multi-way. I don't think I've actually used that. No. And I can also show off that the short... Well, actually, I think I went the wrong way to show off that the shortcut is inaccessible, but that's fine because I don't actually remember the way to get through. Bear Crush for duels, because I can easily remember the command. It also helps that the command only uses 3 WP, and there's a lot of fall through available. Absolute worst case is you do 2 charges and then a smash. And that's actually, you know, well, one charge and then a full crush? Or I don't remember. A single charge doesn't hurt it too much, is what I was trying to get at. You can always chip it. This is just a skeleton, isn't it? Oh, that's... I think I avoided that one last time because I thought it was a skeleton. Oops. But okay, so we're not going to get a second granite staff. I believe I stowed a granite staff on... that's not it. It's supposed to be charge. So yeah, a slight difference in the amount of damage we took there versus the amount of damage we did. As I mentioned, this Rich has actually turned out fairly well. I'm not gonna make it, but I wouldn't mind getting him to 25 sword. Just to have a chance at the custom tool. I mean, we're nowhere near the circulation for it. We're not going to get anywhere near the circulation for any of this stuff. I'm gonna end up using the chips to purchase paladin weapons in the future. So I think that these, you know, recurring duels are doing a good job showing why I tend to prefer Bear Crush for sword duels. It is a single WP and works really well. And in duels, your WP is just going down constantly. And they're... unlike, I think it's bows? Nobody other than bows has a WP-free attack. Bows have a few things where the only attack they use is, I think, quick shot. So I believe it's rapid fire is... And that's the first we've heard that. That is, I'm pretty sure, the sound of anima being absorbed by the egg. this suggests, based off what we kind of ultimately know about the egg, that Misty still has a bit of control. But also that she has been, you know, turned fairly crazy by the influence of the egg, which is understandable. It's turned everybody else that's had it crazy, and they've not had it near as long. Maybe Alexei, I think, was the first person we knew who had it for a long period of time. He might have had it a similar period of time, and he had also been turned completely batshit insane, but he may have started pretty, you know, insane. Kind of tough to tell. So here, because Rich isn't taking any damage from anything, due to a variety of reasons, mostly just his gear is way better than the game expects you to have. We're of course not taking any damage and doing a lot of damage. It looks like most likely we're not going to get that last level of sword. I don't remember exactly where the game wants us to go here. I think this is it. My memory is I didn't run through this scenario prior, so I had gotten in the habit of doing that. But this time I was doing other stuff due to Christmas and having guests over. It's also why I originally figured I was going to be starting late. The Antler Spear is actually a scene drop. It's not a enemy-specific drop here. It's just a scene drop. It's pretty mediocre Beast Spear. It's especially bad since we've had access to that Beast Lance for a while. Now, obviously, the Beast Lance is not a required drop. Not something, you know, everybody's gonna end up getting. But the Ice Lance is, and unless you left it on William, another Antler Spear. Unless you left it on William, there's really no reason to bother with a lot of these. This actually is showing one of the disadvantages of Bear Crush and that entire series. They are dodgeable, they're blockable, they're, you know, anything that you can do to avoid can be done to negate it. I don't remember if I ever did grab No Moment. And that slight... Oh, actually, I can check it. It does not have any fall through, so if it does not go off, I will know that either I didn't grab it, looking like that's the case, or we're just not rocking it in the middle here. It's not a... I mean, obviously, we are so strong that it's not a big deal. I'm going to drop an actual save, just in case I do want to come back and grab another granite staff. I've not been keeping, you know, a meaningful number of backup saves, so this one should be fine. I do like that this does not have music here. this anima beast is, as I recall, dead. Unless it blocks. That's actually on the low end for the amount of chips it can drop. I believe it has a few items it can drop as well. But because that drop is, I believe it's 500 to 1,000 chips. I'm actually going to show that off again. And since I don't know when the in-game quick save happens, I'm just loading the actual save I did. I know when you get back to the map, it drops an automatic quick save. And the amount of chips is not actually important. I would have probably done a quick reload regardless, just to show off the variability, but it starting off with a low one means that this one should be higher. And of course it always gives us another chance to have it fail. Now it can do a fair amount of damage, but Rich has more than 500 health. Oh, secondary advantage. We did get that 25th level of sword. Now, I don't get the big ape comment. That wasn't a big ape, that was a dinosaur head. Well, a dinosaur skull. And so we're going to be facing the ultimate scenario with Rich. Just like the last scenario, there is nobody else. Keep wanting to use the analog stick. It starts off the same way, oddly. I suspect that at the start of these last two scenarios, he was standing there, thinking about leaving. Possibly even trying to convince himself to just go. Most likely he talked himself out of it with the acknowledgement of, yeah, this is where I left the grain snack. He didn't take action against the egg originally. He missed. Plot dialogue. Not a shot. For some reason I have trouble hearing the little bell there. You know, consider for a second. When Will was chasing the egg, nobody made comments like this because he was serious all the time. See, this is the kind of reputation that Rich has established for himself. There's probably quite a few people here that know Diana's pregnant, and he's receiving a message from Misty to meet her all alone. Misty, who everybody finds incredibly attractive. Also, I really wish that the little Twitch window when you were streaming would actually update again. It used to. It used to let you know that, okay, yeah, you're streaming, in this case, SaGa Frontier 2, which was a little secondary benefit to let you know that, yes, you had set the correct game. For me, it says streaming. I've not gotten anything other than just streaming. several months. And see, here he is again trying to talk himself out of it. But he knows he can't do it. He knows that he screwed up a while ago. And he needs to rectify it. Also, this is slightly better stuff than we have seen access to, but we are so set on gear that it's not even funny right now. We have... There's another lake robe somewhere, I just don't remember who has it on. We have a million coral rings, we could safely chip the blue waters. We have, I think it's 2 gem bands. We are very likely going to end up having a lot of quells we don't use. Never run into that before. Interesting. This is Rich's first time coming to a megalith. And unlike Will's first several times coming to megaliths, he is not looking for glory. I'll just show off the enemies real quick. I don't remember what they are. I can't remember if they drop chips or credits. I think it's our next scenario enemies are the ones that drop credits. But they're just land krakens. Nothing special, nothing meaningfully different from the ones we saw before. And Rich is pretty frequently going to be put in optimal position for swords, or near enough that he's going to be going first. There are quite a few items here. I'm going to try to get them all, well, one possible exception. I think I'm going to skip one of the optional fights. I believe I have already taken the route. No, it's this. This is one of the most important enemies for sparking. I'm going to skip it with Rich, even though Rich could definitely spark whatever sword arts I am currently missing. Instead, I think there was another way to go left, and I think that's the way to get way onward. I may be mistaken though, and it may be that both paths left lead here. And my poor memory of this place is just messing with me. but I didn't want to take on that one-time enemy, or that enemy with Rich, because it is a one-time enemy. It's very good for getting whatever arts you're missing that you want or need, but we don't have much use of it with Rich. We have all or almost all of the sword arts we need. Oh, I guess I was mistaken. Now this is actually another very good robe. As you can see, it's even better at SP regen and base SP than the Lake Robe is. And in that way, it's better or rich than the Lake Robe, since we already have access to water. Water's not as hugely important for sword users as it is for most everybody else. This is another one of the more important ones, because like the Stardust Robe, it provides additional SP and SP regen over, in this case, a Fellow Quell. The combo here, I believe, completely neutralizes the minus SP of the Cinderforge sword. I believe the Eternity Staff is 30 SP and the Stardust Robe is 20. And of course we can see here that the Cinderforge sword is 50 and 3, and these I believe combine to 50 and 3. Yes, this does leave us with no ready access to water, but right now that's not important. I mean, really right now, even the tree isn't that important. So if I do use the Cinderforge sword, I will likely make use of this combo on them. The second advantage of this over of using the staff over the spear is that it still provides access to Turtle Killer. Having access to staff abilities is very useful. Now there are 6 characters in the final generation, and of them, one of them is not worth using, aside from one specific occasion. We're getting a lot of sword levels. And so the final party will consist of, well, the final 5 of which I will be able to choose 4 from, will consist of 1 archer, 1 person who's good with bows, 1 swordsman, not necessarily because he's good with swords, but because he is required to have swords in both of his slots. 1 person whose best weapon that doesn't suck is spears. And Did I get both of the relevant drops here? I was thinking there was another drop here. Huh. I must be mistaken. One staff user. And one person whose best weapons are either staves or swords. Now, this is supposed to be meant kind of ironically. Rich is supposed to have a very powerful anima and have never made use of it, basically. Of course, the problem is, and that's supposed to play out because none of the enemies, aside from the enemy I skipped, have very strong growth rates. Rich is supposed to suck. Our Rich is dominant. Our Rich is absurd. This Rich might be as good of a swordsman, or better, than the guaranteed final generation swordsman will be. Now, he does have a few issues even with that. One of them, the largest of them, is he only has 14 LP. That's never been an issue in his scenarios, but if he was present in the final scenario, he would be a fairly low LP character. I believe most of the Knight's family kinda runs into that issue. I seem to recall Will not having a huge amount of LP. And of course, we can see a bit of Rich's personality come through here. I can't harm a woman. And it's actually an option that you can take, it just sends you to another battle. At this point, because of how easy these are, that would actually just be easier and quicker to have selected the first option. You can do this infinitely, facing however many land krakens you want. Of course, eventually you'll be casting Cleave in this case with LP, but as a result, there's only one option we can take. This is a but thou must. And so Rich shanks her. And the egg absorbs her anima. And we see Will and Diana and Rich and Diana's child. And Virginia Knights is the child of Rich. And I would like to state that I actually did kinda lie here. That is not entirely entirely the end of the second generation. Okay, obviously there it's showing Ginny's departure. We will most likely not get to that. Not today. For we have Gustav scenarios. Also, we had 10 minutes of me screwing around at the start here. I like that this is a parallel to the start of the game, but with these kind of bandit-like sprites instead of the just different type of spear users. I think it was light spear and wood spear before. And we see that they are the generic Bart's shock troops sprite here. But here we have somebody who looks like they have steel, I don't know what, boots, foot coverings, and steel pauldrons. I don't think enough time has passed since Gus spent any serious amount of time with Leslie for that to even be potentially plausible. Also, that's more proof that it's fake. Gus didn't have anima. But something that we can't be 100% sure of is where this guy ended up getting his power. Obviously, the scenario was called Fake Gustav Arrives. And there is a certain amount of irony in a incredibly powerful spellcaster calling himself Gus. And this is already showing that Gus's reputation here is very much the same as... oh, and I screwed up already. I have another scenario to go through before I go to another one. Nobunaga's was in Japan. Same as Richard the Lionheart. There's also a distinct possibility that I don't know 100% if the next scenario is guaranteed, so I meant to click no, but okay, so I've done a few scenarios a bit out of order, but so this is related to Nicolette, and if I really wanted to keep everything kind of well understandable, I'd have kept it with Nicolette stuff. Charles is not wrong. I mean, Charles may be an ass, but he is very definitely not wrong in this case. And it's one of those things where, okay, Charles is an ass, definitely, 100%. I don't think anybody would argue against that, but he also sees the bigger picture here. And here we're getting to do another war battle, and there's really no advantage to us attacking first. I think we want to try to make sure that everybody has support of an archer, and then in turn. We need to kill 3 troops. Or kill the Duke. Now what I'm going to be trying to do is get both accomplished at the same time. Having archer support will make this a little bit easier. Now, lawnmower kills most of the time. With the archer support, it should kill basically every time. Flame Spear is a little bit more powerful, and will also tend to kill most of the time. I'm trying to kind of trying to set these up for as long as possible. I'm not 100% on the optimal range for spears. Okay, so we already screwed up here, but that's fine. We will be at full strength next turn, our next turn. And it's very unlikely that anybody else is going to be able to attack this unit. Even if they do, killing 2 units for another enemy will oh, okay, so they will be in another battle. They'll start at 88 health instead of 100. But of course our enemies are going to start at 50 health, or 70 health. The lawnmowers should basically be guaranteed kills. And this shouldn't do enough to kill. Well, but it does. That's still a forced retreat from their end, but if I had arranged that better, we would have most likely won the first one by killing them, and the second one would have fallen into place essentially the same way. The lawnmower does seem like it might be a hair faster. I don't think anybody else is focusing on... Wow. The guy that we had get hit. Seriously, game? So, what I want to do here... I know I said I want to have the thing every time, but... Archer support every time, but... I'm willing to give it up here to... try to get a few kills. Get a little bit lucky here. We should be able to route these. Kill the unit entirely. We only needed to get lucky with 3 of the 4. We just need to have somebody that's attacking the other one move first. That's now 3 of the 4, so... And basically I'm going to try to get both of these accomplished at the same time. There doesn't seem to be a meaningful speed difference between the two attacks. So that's weird. With the sword unit in the back, you'd expect them to go last pretty frequently. So we will not be wiping them out this turn. We might be able to drop them to just the commander. And indeed, that looks like what we're going to be able to do. Our 3 spear users. Actually, it might be back to 4. Versus... No, because we'd lost another one. I forgot about that. Their unit's attack didn't even work. And so we accomplished both of the goals. It wasn't particularly difficult. We had... Well, we didn't actually have an extra unit. We just had archer support. And this is... Well, this is history. Great warlords don't get to see the end results of their wars frequently. And so that was supposed to take us to Fake Gustav Arrives. Which is why it focused on that. Which takes us to Edelritter. I should have, looked up what that means, but here we see Sargon working with two generic-looking people. Somebody who's using the same soldier sprite as William, if I'm remembering correctly, and somebody who's using an archer sprite. Now, Sargon is still quite powerful. He has a whole bunch of health now. What sucks? Unsurprisingly. Britta also sucks, unsurprisingly. Their gear is pretty crap, and their stats suck, and... whole 9 yards. Also, she does come with a unique role. Now, because the only person that matters here is Sargon, I'm going to give everybody else team boosting stuff. Which one's commander? Both of those raise attack. And I think I'm just going to give him heavy attack. Actually, I can give him War God, it's not gonna matter. Not like he has SP regen anyway. And I could give him the Fossil Sword since we're otherwise not gonna use it, but... And the reason that we destroyed the bridge we did last time is to actually make this one, last time we were here, I should say. And I meant to fight as Sargon, but shouldn't really matter. Yeah, these are just worker ants, they're pretty weak. Is to make this scenario shorter. Find it interesting that despite Sargon having actually very, very good growths, he never seemed to... Also, those birds, still griffins. Very easy to get wiped out this scenario. Especially since I don't remember 100% where we're going. Okay, this is definitely the right way. Since Gus is following us. Based off what we saw of him last scenario. And no, we did not ever get to control him. Just for the record. I have access to rewinds, but I'm only going to do them if it's something actually important. Not because I screwed up a command. It looks like it might kill everything. That would be nice. I'm really not concerned about the uses of anything anybody has equipped right now. None of it is important in the slightest. Sargon would be better with a, better sword, but... His skill's not going up, so... That is apparently the only way it's going to improve. I really wish that it would remember that you want to do duels. And so the combo of 2/3 as much weapon skill and 1/5-ish weapon damage. Huh. Oh. Well, I don't remember which side we want to go here. I don't think it's this side. But I don't remember this scenario at all, so... I'm thinking this is the correct way, although it may have been the lower cave. And I'm just misremembering. But I was thinking that these... We'll find out soon. All the slimes is what is making... Oh, I see it. And welcome to this part. This part sucks. Yes, you do have to fight 1,000,000 slimes. Fortunately, Sargon's powerful enough to kill him in a single attack. So I think the reason I'm getting inconsistent audio here, most likely anyway, is that the, either, it's one of three things really. Either my headphones are dying, which I don't think is the case, given that I've used them even fairly recently with my, phone. I don't know where I put my phone. I don't know why I would be looking for my phone to emote to my phone, given that I don't have a camera. The second is the cable, which issue being the same thing. And the third is that the DAC on my Yeti is dying. I suspect that to be the most likely of the three. I might need to switch to using the audio port on the front of my computer instead. don't know if it would be quite as fast, and of course it has the issue of it would not have a adjustable volume for nearly as easily adjustable volume. And again, I mess up. That's fine. By sneaking along the top here, we can avoid a fair amount of these, but it's still tedious. There's no way to get around the tedium. Even the occasional, down not registering because I hit it too quick isn't helping with the tedium. I can't tell if that will hit that time. I do like the little end of battle animations for both generics we have with us. Of course, neither one of them has a dual sprite, which, instead of just being a zoomed-in version of the regular battle sprite, is actually a slightly larger sprite. Pretty obvious with Sargon because he has a lot more detail. Shows that he has weird knuckle things on the end of his gauntlets. Knuckle guards. Much like the weird thing we picked up in MS SaGa yesterday. The shield that boosted melee damage. There's a way around this. I'm not aware of it. There's just a million freaking slimes. And it sucks. Forever. Fortunately, we are down to it's between 1 and 3, so I suspect it'll most likely be 2 fights, but it might be 1 if we're lucky. Sargon fails to kill. It's probably gonna be 3. sneaking along the bottom might have been fewer fights on this particular group. That's not the right. So it took until I was even holding up and right. That one apparently really wanted to. Maybe the hitbox slightly changes when they jump. That would be weird for an on-world, you know, on-map enemy, but I don't really have another explanation for it, given that we were past them. So it took until the second to last battle for Sargon to get additional sword level. Second to last battle of that run. And here we need to do crap. I believe that rotates things. That toggles those two. So if we do one more, that'll get 4 of the 5. So what does these do? That toggles those two. Those 3. Get them all? Yes. I was thinking that opened another way out. I guess I'm mistaken. Oh, it opens another way here. Now, we don't know what this quarry is. Obviously, we never get to go to a shop with Sargon, I'm pretty sure, but you know, there's slime in here, and it's not aggressive. We can walk right up to it, and it doesn't do anything. But we need to interact with it. Okay, so it's walking away. Why is that? Well, it's because this is a megalith. And what happens to people who disrespect megaliths? They die. Or get turned into horrific beasts. And this makes it sound like Sargon is doing this of his own will. And to a certain extent, he is. But you have to keep in mind, he just saw 2 friends of his get turned into slimes. Slimes that he's been killing this entire time. By somebody who can control what is looking like a megalith or something incredibly dangerous. SaGa Perfect Works says that, you know, basically, yeah, he was terrified out of his gourd and didn't see an option other than pledging loyalty. And those hands look like crab claws. Sargon the crab. Now, Show of Na has apparently died. I really enjoy this music. We don't get it a whole lot. this is, I believe it's 4 years after the prior scenario we were just in, so it took 4 years for the fake Gus to get an army. Here we see that the one faced character here is in the middle of negotiation. Yeah, if by abandon Nova you mean he was the last one there, and that's really just a chicken shit fucking comment. I wouldn't be surprised if that was from, either somebody who was a descendant of Kental, or from Lobholtz or Nah. Because that has nothing to do with reality. David's, of course, taking it diplomatically. I believe David is the son of Philippe III. Or he might be the son of Charles. I'm not 100% clear on it. Okay. He is the son of Charles. We don't actually get to know who most of the mothers are. Again, this is treated historically rather than like most JRPGs do it. Or even actually Western RPGs. To a certain extent, the focus on ignoring the mothers is more of a Japanese take on it. But it's not like, especially if the mother was not a member of high society or was not a especially meaningful noble, the West was especially better at, saying who they were rather than their name. Okay, so the piece of crap was Lobholtz. What a surprise. So, Charles is doing exactly as we kinda expected them to. And Charles actually has a fantastic laughing spray here. What we know about this, though, is that this is probably not going to end well for Charles. Even an army against the egg is likely to fail. That puts us at the Battle of Nova as far as where the game wants us to go. But that's not where we're going. We have Ginny's departures to do. Ven is still alive at this point in time, which makes sense. When Gus was 40, Ven was something like 13. And this is, I think, 45-ish years later, so he would be almost 60. And this is Mathia talking. I think that's her name. Obviously, as she does have a name and a unique sprite, she is plot relevant. This game does not have the budget to make everybody have a unique sprite. Also, Ginny is interesting, and the name of her scenario parallels, obviously, Will's departure. I rather like her sprite work. I absolutely hate the artwork. And we see it. We are rescued, in this case, by another redhead. Now we've only seen like 4 colors of hair. White, blonde, brown, and red. So that may not be necessarily meaningful. But she is only aside from one of the generic sprites that I commented on before, she is the second unique sprite we've seen with red hair. And she hates slaving. Well, she's already, getting off onto a good foot with us. But this seems inconsistent, to a certain extent, with the scene we just saw. I had always kind of been mistaken on the... I always thought they did escape on that boat. The great Roberto. Actually, because, especially if you're not Spanish, Roberto sounds a little bit fancier. I suspect that's how he calls himself. I'm just gonna call him Roberto. But I suspect he says Roberto. I don't know, I just suspect he has a hyper-inflated opinion of himself. But yeah, as I mentioned, I like Ginny's sprite work. I don't recall her dual sprite, or else I would, just say flat out that I think it's all good. I seem to recall the dual sprite's not great. But here we are going to be introduced to our basic group of 4. Actually, I have no idea if that... Yeah, I'm just gonna call him the Primera. It is being pretty rough to Ginny, but Ginny deserves it. And Roberto is kind of a creep. He's got a lot in common with Rich, but he's even more blatant. And Gustav has a great looking outfit and fantastically dumb looking hair. And so we can talk to everybody. There are no giant worms. I don't know that Roberto is actually competent in the slightest. But we do have access to 4 people here. And before you sit there and think, oh man, Ginny's gonna be pretty good once she gets some age bonuses, in the final scenario she's 15. So, yeah. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's... Actually, it might be the cable. As we can see here, Primera has awful gear equipped for being at all useful in anything. And steel is even worse because, of course, you can't chip it. Sword and Gustav's sword. I'm putting the actual useful one up top. Now, the 30 power Quell is doing a decent job of offsetting the steel sword. This town is basically the same as it was before. Now, this is true. This is useful to know, because it is necessary to advance in the dungeon here, the dungeon here being optional, and also a one-time visit. I believe this is it. Oh, I was thinking that was a Pocket Station thing. Here's the thing, when even the game is calling it a bit tedious, you know it's gonna suck. So where the hell? I could have sworn there was an equip reclaimer here. There was during Rich's era. Also, we have access to bone gloves, which are good filler, and green glass. Green glass is tremendously important. Mainly because it provides access. It has good status defense, and provides access to really good not an equip reclaimer game. That's thank God. Redstones, I don't think we want to take them. I'm going to do so. Anyway. Basically, I am taking anything that might be especially good use, or especially useful right now. I will take those. I'll take those life seeds now. Staves that are as good or better. Can see that our inventory is basically full. Oh. That, it may have gotten over full and I may have ended up tossing something. Guess who's doing a quick load? Because they're not sure. Far, far better to be safe than sorry, especially given that we don't need to grab everything. Once we get finished with this, I am going to show off, just finish with these conversations. I am going to show our character's base stats. Now, of course, Ginny has fairly low HP because she does not have any age bonuses. She has low LP. That's, like I said, a problem for the Knights family. She has low WP and SP. The SP is mostly because her gear sucks. She comes with very good already staves. She's pretty good at most of the better skill levels. And of course, she's pretty decent with swords. She has pretty high martial, but martial sucks. Never use martial. Fisticuffs just is trash in this game. This is Premier. Again, Fisticuffs is trash. Ignore the plus next to it. is still trash at it. Heartbreaker is the only fisticuffs we will ever know. Axes also suck. She has one of the best axes equipped. We will be switching her to spears. I think everybody does it, basically. There's almost no reason not to. Her stats aren't especially good with spears, mind. But an okay user with arguably the best weapon type is still, tends to be better for the party than a great user, which is what she is, of axes, with an awful weapon type that has no skills. Like, I have some of the strongest axe skills. Doesn't even come with particularly strong axe skills. There's this, which uses 12 WP. She can use it once every 4 turns. This she can use once every 3 turns. This is the only hybrid art. So, keep that in mind and compare that to spears. Now, I didn't bother with anything stronger than Beast Lightning. I might when we go to the back to that insect megalith. But alternating, Beast Lightning, which actually has a positive effect. It makes enemies weaker. I can't remember. It makes their spells weaker and makes them more likely to take more damage from spells. But it's a good utility spear ability, and it combos well normally. There's also Twin Dragon. Twin Dragon's also very, very strong. There's a stronger hybrid art. I never bothered learning it. It sucks. It's 5 more power for 6 more SP. It's ridiculous. Now there's Roberto. Bows are not bad. I actually don't have a lot of these stronger bow abilities because I never bother with anything beyond rapid fire, and I think Spectral Shot is as strong as it gets on the hybrid arts. Bows aren't great, but they're not bad. The fact that you only need to keep a few things on you for most of the bow stuff, and that you're going to have, by virtue of having Reviva, you're going to have the stuff for Spectral Shot and Firebird. Means you tend to be in a pretty good place for your archers. Then there's Gustav. Gustav's best growths are basically the same as Cody's best growths. And so he's forced to use swords. One thing we really want to change is, because of the weapons we're going to have them be using, that's going to end up being the best. Spell attack is a pretty strong roll. 50% stronger spells, but 20% lower spell defense. Which sounds great, but in practice isn't that good. Heavy spell tends to be a lot more useful. I'm not entirely sure what that does. there's diversion, prevent enemy combo attacks, which would be great if enemy combos were the dangerous abilities. Gonna keep the, I'm just gonna put, rather, the team-related things on. Of course, it's kind of weird that Roberto, the archer, has the most HP and LP. So, in this case, we want first to sort our list. Now, based off of the fact that two swords tends not to be great for combos, it's normally advised not to put the Cinderforge sword on Jenny. Because Rich turned out so well, I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna have two sword users. And I'm probably gonna rue that when we're doing the last scenario. The only time fights are actually difficult. Mandatory fights are difficult. I'm going to provide Jenny with Rich's gear. It works very well for Rich. I don't know necessarily that we need to put the same on, but I'm not really seeing a huge disadvantage. We don't have access to water with this set, so we might want the birch ring instead of the dryad braille. Regardless, this is, not a bad setup. One of the advantages that this provides is that there is another staff user, and we can allow him to use the granite staff, while still having access to Turtle Killer and whatever various things we want as far as that goes on Jimmy. And because we have, it looks like 30 additional SP being provided by gear, that should put our lower bound at 30. It'll make the last fight a little bit difficult, but it shouldn't be too bad. Or a little bit tight, I should say. I put Slice and Dice on just because it's at a reasonable price point. So we have Water Tree and Flame and Beast. Flame Beast is so that we can do Reviva. It's never super important, or I guess I should say it hasn't been super important. Just checking to, yeah, we can grab Recovery Breath. I can never remember where the, Life Water. It's always good to have Life Water just because it's nice to have a a way to revive people. And so, right now, this is what I'm thinking Jenny's final setup is going to end up being. Basically here I'm mainly focused on taking, since we ran out of space last time, I'm focused on taking quells and items that I'm going to equip right away. I don't even know that I'm going to equip those to anybody. And that's one of the problems, is we've actually got too much good gear. I might not end up using any of those Blackstone armors. Which is, well, okay, that's not true. I'm going to end up using at least one of them, because I want somebody to have, to be immune to Petrify. So 26 Beast versus 28 Tree, that is a quell. So we have all these coral rings and the bone gloves. I believe the bone gloves have better defense. I think their defenses, just in general, are also better. I don't think this place can chip items, unfortunately. So I'm not going to grab any more. And yeah, this is a time-consuming process getting a whole bunch of people set up. He has a steel sword, and I know it's going to be swapped out for another steel sword at a future date. I believe it's got the same negatives, though. Also, this sound slightly messing up is bugging the hell out of me. One of the problems is basically everybody is ultimately going to have a steel weapon, so I want everybody to be able to offset it. Now with Roberto, that's the call here. So the other one, we don't want it to be something that's too important. Primera, I'm going to be swapping out the Beast Lance. The Ice Lance is a much more useful thing to have as far as access. Correspondingly, that means she does not need a leg rope. And she can get a Blackstone armor. But that does mean that she needs access to other things. I tend to do just 3. But that's flame and water. And, well, in duels it doesn't really matter. access to flame. That can be gotten via the hot stone, it can be gotten via the green glasses. Both are perfectly acceptable. She's not, even though the base levels kind of suggest a fire mage, she's not really a fire mage. So the stone access isn't hugely important. I think Amber Mallet also has tree. Everybody will want Reviva access as well as Cure Water. So. Tree, Beast, and Flame and Water are the biggies. And we actually have those with her gloves. So, beyond that... really a huge deal. So I think I'm just gonna put the gem band on. Everybody's looking, well, those two are looking pretty good. This is one of the unfortunate things about having to set up 4 characters all at once. They don't normally send you out with this many new people that you have not had the opportunity to set up. Setting up a single person is quick. Setting up a whole group takes a bit. We might not have Tone, is the thing. If we get lucky with Soul Hymn, we won't have the Elven Lyre on, which will be unfortunate. We'll probably switch that over to Chris Knife or the Beast Lance. Assuming that Roberto's final part. If he's not, then it'll still be the Elven Lyre. Nobody else makes use of those in the slightest. So we have that tree, Beast. We have Beast and Water. Fire and tree. This is one of the reasons I mentioned the green glasses being so good. Even now, I don't have a lot of things that provide access to. It's one chip. Flame tree. Want to make sure I have plenty of money for paladin stuff and anything else I'm trying to grab. actually also be getting another quell. It will be a beast quell. It'll be a sword shape, but it'll be a beast quell. It is actually very good defensively, and so it could be a valid replacement for the staff here if you don't need staff access if we put the other staff user in the final party. I don't think that's the case though. Most likely it'll end up on the staff user if we bring them to the final party, and I don't know, possibly Roberto or Gustav otherwise. Well, no, we can't go in Gustav. Primera otherwise. The problem is, really, everybody else is going to be using their secondary slot for access to something. And so the other staff user is the best person to drop it on. Just kind of end of statement. And he can grab the cat eye if we end up pulling the elder bow off. When we end up pulling the elder bow off. Have access to flame and to this water. But he needs beast and he's actually pretty good. I'm thinking maybe defensive. Yeah, the bone gloves are actually kind of important. They're a lot better item than the coral rings. Unfortunately, we don't have access to somebody who can ship stuff right now. I do think I'm going to pick up 2 more beast rooms. Beast gloves. And even with that, we have 2 really good armors still unequipped. We have 6 armors for the final 6 people. So we actually are in fantastic shape as far as that goes. Because I don't want to have to do this again. Drop it here just in case I do want to go back and do Rich's stupid crap. Oh, I forgot to set up Gus's skills. Interestingly, neither Roberto nor Gustav can apparently learn martial abilities. Gustav's mostly going to get set up the same way as Jimmy, but without the staff. I'm not really going to set any of these up for AoE abilities. This group is much more, even Jenny is much more focused on start off with Primera. Also, I should have dropped a save. So instead, I'm going to drop save state. Now, the Beast Lance is pretty powerful. And you might be able to hear me scrolling frantically through the list to try to find the few things I have not grabbed. This is just a low-level enemy, so I'm not entirely sure that this will actually have any chance of being learned. So I think we'll probably just focus on Beast Lightning. And it would not be the worst idea to do team battles here. But I do want to show off everybody's dual sprite. Just because I do think most of them are pretty good. Jenny's dual sprite looks a fair amount like her normal sprite, so much like me thinking that her normal sprite is pretty good, I think her dual sprite's not too bad. She does tend to gain stats a lot easier than the enemy's stat up and sparking levels would indicate. Also, like the one person said this is gonna end up being fairly tedious. And, you know, let's check out what that flame sword is. That's not the firebrand. No. Whatever would make you think that it was the firebrand? Aside from having the same sprite as the firebrand. And I'm using the so yeah, this is the 15th. Oh, I don't actually remember what the bow arts are. Oh, I have a chance to and bow arts are interesting because Quick Shot takes no WP in duels. This, which is the command set for Rapid Fire, is free in duels. Rapid Fire is 100% free. And obviously we're doing this with a character who kinda sucks. He has a million LP for a reason. Also, I forget if I showed it off, but the dual command for Rapid Fire is the only one I'm aware of that, rather than stating the command 3 times, it says charge and then quick shot ×3. because quick shot is too long to fit 3 times in the little instruction part. I'll show it off real quick, it's not going to take long. At least that's the only thing I can think of. It might be that the box for this even has expanded as they could get it. There wasn't much beyond that. And I don't know, personally, which enemies are the ones that will go off and bite the root here. Also see the regular battle scrape. I forgot to double check to make sure that everybody's actually using an infinite use weapon. Obviously, it's going to be the case that it's being used for several of these, but I didn't double check on over there. Because of the tedium of this scenario, this will likely be the last scenario we do this time. Also, I'm doing standard battles rather than the rather than duels, because I don't think I really need too many additional arts. If I do, and I might with the bow and the spear, I'll focus on learning them from enemies that have better spark rates than the labor ants. And what we're really hoping for here is weapon levels, primary weapon levels, and HP. That's what we wanted to see. If we look up on top of there now, they've done some damage. Now, I believe most of these enemies have decent, not great, but decent spark rates and power-up rates. I don't know what the term is for the second. By virtue of weapon, is likely going to end up standing out early as our best boss killer. Oh, didn't realize we could go further down. I don't even know what we ran into here. Oh, I think this is one of the ant commanders, which is good for picking up new arts. I am going to drop a state, not because I'm, going to use it for making sure we learn this, so that wouldn't be a bad idea, mostly because 1,000 Cross is perfectly fine to try to learn because when it fails, it breaks down into 2 double thrusts. Double thrusts are still reasonably strong. As far as the timely actions, I'm really not 100% certain. Fearless Triple, which is what I'm trying to learn here, it breaks down into a lawnmower, which is still pretty good. Primarily because it can stun. Of course, we're not having any luck here. I'm just going to do another Beast Lightning. Now, based off of the command that popped up, I believe that the enemy is at about half health. Problems with Fearless Triple and 1,000 Cross, the 2 staff spear arts that are stronger than what I have, is that I seem to recall they suck in combos. Could just be that I never really figured out what they can combo into, but I don't remember them being any good in combos. Also, these Ant Commanders have a bunch of health. Nice things once we get some paladin weapons will be just the fact that by virtue of being at 50 something instead of 30 something, a lot of our attacks will do a lot more damage, which will mean that the basic level attacks feel a lot better. I don't think we're going to be learning anything here. I'm going to give 1,000 Cross another opportunity. And we didn't even get anything really good out of it. So I'm going to stick to... certain how to get these treasures. I might be going down on the future. I'm going to stick primarily to team battles. These Ant Commanders are good for learning, but I already have most of the important stuff, even most of the unimportant stuff. And it's not like any of these is going to provide me access to Solheim anyway, so... Oh, speaking of which, I should probably look at in-duel learning, I think it is... Under Fire. I don't remember what it is. Checking it real quick. There's something that's flame tone and I'm not remembering what it is. Sonic Burner. I don't think I have Sonic Burner, so... We apparently have not yet killed enough, or caused enough of these to attack. Fortunately, these enemies are the ones we want to get it done. And horned buffaloes, which are actually dangerous. Show up occasionally here. See why they're actually dangerous. So part of it is just the fact that they can do LP damage. Stat gains that we don't particularly care about right now. I think we need to get 2 more of those to attack it. To actually be able to go down. Might be only 1 more. Basically, any of those could have killed Gus, but we got lucky. If our next fight does start off with a something similarly dangerous, we will probably... We're getting super unlucky with stat gains. I do wonder what that monster at the top of the thing is doing. Able to avoid the sleep. If we can get her sword skill up just a little bit, she will, actually be significantly more powerful than Gus because of the much better weapon. 27? I think it is additional attack power. So I probably should have healed up Gus, but it's not that important. I keep thinking that he is low LP like everybody else is, but him and Roberto are actually pretty good on that front. Actually ended up being a good fight for Ginny. And Grim, for that matter. Good fight for everybody but Gus. So it is another spear that's not that good. Beast spears worse than the Beast Lance. Meaningfully worse than the Beast Lance at that. I don't see the purpose of it. Unfortunately, they are not yet strong enough, although it's looking like Ginny has already surpassed him. For the most part, they're not yet strong enough to kill those ants with a single tornado blade. I'm trying to see what was down there. This could be sort of dangerous because the Ant Commanders are pretty strong. So I think it'll be... No, it's not quite solo, but it's pretty close. We can see that Ginny's setup, even with, you know, everything, actually has more base, or more equipment SP than Gus's. So it's looking like Ginny is going to be following in Rich's footsteps and actually turning out pretty good. Due to a stronger weapon and much higher tree skill, she's already doing mostly comparable and sometimes better damage with the hybrid art than Gus is. Yeah, as we can see, we're actually starting to run low here on Gus. here we're just going to want to visit everything, basically. Fortunately, aside from LP on occasion, we're not using anything for any of these fights. Yeah, it's looking like we're probably going to want to... I think that closer one's probably a better deal. Put some more quells or something on Gus. His equipment SP is pretty low, owing to the large negative from a steel weapon. And of course we need to overcome that ultimately with everybody, which is going to be tough. Chimera, for example, right now, if we replaced the Beast Lance with 20, with something that was minus 50, she would have no equipment SP. And I think this is one of the areas where something like the green glass comes in handy. Of course, with Roberto's in a bit better situation. Assuming that the 94 is his base, we can't be 100% certain right now. Where is his equipment added? I think because this is a combat scenario, and we still have, I feel like, a fair amount to go after this, especially if we want to get everything, I think I am going to drop a save and be finished after this. There's a few reasons for that, one of which is just the additional time I took for this last scenario at the start, getting everything set up. One of them is the fact that when I launched OBS, BizHawk was messing up and not showing... OBS was messing up and not showing BizHawk correctly. I'm still not entirely certain why that was, but I know that it took changing what window OBS was trying to capture twice for it to work. So it'll just be the save here. I'll drop a quick save just to make sure. So that is it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Another reason I'm ending it early is because I need to go out with some people. So I will be back with more of this on Monday. And actually we can change that schedule to the actual correct one now. This is what it'll be back to starting next week. So, thank you for watching, and I'll be back then.